The travel industry in Asia Pacific is actually undergoing some incredible changes. In fact, one of the interesting aspects I'd like to look at is China. Everybody talks about China, but there's two aspects of China. There's people actually traveling to China. In the next 5 years, we believe that there's going to be something like 100 million guests and people traveling to China, notwithstanding the fact that there is the Olympics happening as well this year. But in addition to people traveling to China, we're going to see something like 120 million Chinese people traveling to other parts of Asia Pacific and other parts of the world, actually leaving China. So we're seeing this very, very different sort of landscape in the travel industry in Asia Pacific. 5 years ago, nobody traveled from outside China. It was very difficult to actually get around the visa controls. So we're seeing that element of it. We're also seeing actually the travel industry in India booming, and this is around the sort of the 2-star, the 3-star hotel chains, and the resurgence and the creation of this sort of much larger middle class population in India, and we're seeing that impacting this industry. The travel industry and the hospitality industry is one of the largest industries in the world. So this is significant. This industry, in order to actually make sure that it provides the best guest experience as people travel around the world, it requires a solution, a technology solution, which is appropriate for their guests. And this is where DoCoMo InterTouch actually comes in. We provide technology solutions and services for over 1,000 hotels and provide connections for 25 million guests in any given year. We are seeing some fundamental sort of perspectives around technology. Technology is so important for guests in international hotels. It's almost as important as, say, as a bed. If you can't have internet access, then this hotel is actually not going to work for you. That's how fundamental it has become. And from that base, we're seeing a number of sort of convergences that we're seeing, and one of them is around what we describe as network convergence. So this is the ability to provide not just data but also voice and multimedia on one network, on one cable. Traditionally, you might have one cable for voice, another cable for data, for internet access, and another cable for things like digital video. You can provide all those things on an IP-based application on just one cable, which means that you save the cost of the capital expenditure, the cost of equipment, it comes down. The other element of convergence that we look at, which is important for users, and these include the hotel guests, is around application convergence. So this is what I describe as if you have a mobile phone or a PDA or a laptop or even a television screen, that the way the user or the guest interfaces and uses that device is similar throughout, so that you don't have to relearn how to use this phone or this PDA or even this laptop. It actually all looks and feels the same, and that's what we describe as application convergence. And that's also important to happen so that people would adopt this particular way of working. Now, the third convergence that we describe is around the mobile convergence. So this really is also another sort of a cost element to it as well. This is where you have one device which may traditionally use 2G or 3G phones, like any cellular device, but also has Wi-Fi on it at the same time. So that, for example, if you're international roaming, you can make a voice over Wi-Fi call when you're abroad, so that you're not charged the premiums associated with international roaming. And then this is a very, very effective cost reduction. Interestingly, within DoCoMo InterTouch, we've actually had the ability to provide a higher quality of voice calls through voice over Wi-Fi and even on international roaming through 3G, because you can't control how you actually do the quality of service on 3G sometimes. The fourth convergence is around media convergence. This is where media industry is now actually converging with the telecommunication industry. And take this video cast, for example. 5 years ago we never would have done this. It would have been done through either television broadcasting or print. Now we have the ability to access audiences in a number of different ways, which means that we can now provide advertising type, or we can provide different types of information to people from through different mediums. And this is where we call media it's a media convergence. Now all this is required, needs to be supported by the right regulatory environment, and we're starting to see some of that actually happening now. As these technologies start to shape and become more mature, the regulatory environment is now starting to actually put in a framework to allow those businesses. What we see in the next 2 to 3 years is we do see this big explosion of IP-based applications, and we see the industry changing dramatically, such that technology must keep up with this fast-moving travel and hospitality industry.